Hello, and welcome back to Fem Life. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel. 2 lucky winners get to spend 1 hour on video chat with me. It was a regular Friday night at the local news station, with the usual hustle and bustle of anchors preparing for their live segment. The news of the day had been dull and uneventful, and the producers were searching for something to spice up the show. Little did they know, they were about to get much more than they bargained for. As the clock struck 10, the cameras rolled and the anchor introduced the next segment. The topic, a local charity event supporting the LGBTQ+ community. The news station had always been supportive of bringing awareness to important causes, so this segment was no different. However, what unfolded next was far from what anyone could have imagined. As the camera panned to the event, viewers were greeted with a sight they could scarcely believe. There, on stage, dressed in a bright pink ball gown and matching wig, was none other than the news station's very own weatherman, Mark. The collective gasp from the anchors and production team watching in the control room was audible through the soundproof glass. The anchors quickly regained their composure and continued with the segment, but the damage had been done. Within seconds, the news station was flooded with calls and messages from shocked viewers who had just witnessed their weatherman crossdressing on live television. The station was in chaos, with everyone trying to find out what had happened and how to handle the situation. Mark, sitting on stage in all his glittery glory, was completely unaware of the chaos he had caused. He had been asked to host the event and had taken it upon himself to make it a memorable one. He had always been interested in drag and had secretly been practicing his makeup and walking in heels for weeks. When the opportunity to host the event came up, he couldn't resist the chance to bring some joy and show his support for the LGBTQ+ community. However, he had no idea his moment of self-expression would be caught on live television. As the producers scrambled to cut to commercial break and deal with the situation, Mark was whisked off stage and into a small room backstage, where he was met with a barrage of questions from his co-workers. Stunned and embarrassed, Mark could only sheepishly explain his actions, but the news station's producers were not amused. They were worried about the backlash and negative feedback they would receive from conservative viewers. They demanded that Mark immediately remove his costume and makeup and return to the studio for the rest of the news segment. Feeling embarrassed and ashamed, Mark reluctantly complied and removed his drag attire, revealing his usual suit and tie underneath. He returned to the studio, his head hung low, and finished the segment, trying to act as if nothing had happened. The next morning, Mark woke up to a whirlwind of media attention. His phone was bombarded with messages from reporters, and his social media was blowing up with comments and reactions from viewers. Some praised him for being brave and supportive of the LGBTQ+ community, while others condemned him for what they saw as inappropriate behavior on live television. The news station was also in the spotlight, with many questioning their acceptance and support of the LGBTQ+ community. The producers were scrambling to come up with a statement and damage control, while Mark was struggling to come to terms with his actions and the consequences that followed. As the day went on, the situation only seemed to escalate. Mark was called into his boss's office, where he was met with a mix of disappointment and anger. The news station's reputation was at stake, and they were considering letting Mark go to appease their conservative viewers. Feeling overwhelmed and betrayed, Mark decided to take a stand. He had always been open about his support for the LGBTQ+ community, and he refused to apologize for expressing himself. He explained to his boss and the producers that he had not intended to cause any harm or controversy, and his intentions were purely to bring attention to an important cause. After hours of discussion, the news station's management team decided to let Mark keep his job, but with a strict warning to never do anything like this again. The controversy died down after a few days, but the incident left a permanent mark on Mark and the news station. Despite the initial chaos and negative reactions, the incident also sparked a lot of positive discussions and conversations about acceptance and support for the LGBTQ+ community. Mark's bravery in expressing himself on live television had opened up a dialogue that many had been afraid to have before. In the end, Mark's actions may have been seen as unbelievable and shocking, but it also brought attention to an important cause and sparked positive change in the community. He may have been caught crossdressing on live television, but his act of self-expression will always be remembered as a brave and defining moment in his life.